This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin.no limits podcast. You can always contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest or you have a guest that might be a good fit, if you've listened to my podcast, you'll know I have a great guest today that is a good fit, I know, and we're going to have a good time. This is Cori Nichols. I've known Cori for a few years. I don't know how long, but we met through networking, and we've stayed friends, and we keep in contact here and there. And she has a new business we're going to talk about, and then we're just going to talk about business and life and whatever comes up. So, hi, Cori. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you? So good to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you. We were just talking about life before we got on here, which we won't get into on this podcast, and just how much life can change in just an instant. And we're both well, I'm out of work, but she's in a different career than when I met her. And I know it's going well because I know Cori, and she's a rock star. So, Cori, first of all, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your business so we know what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, so basically last fall, I started a freelance marketing business to cater to small businesses, people with 5 and under. Like you mentioned, I had a business previously for 12 years as a photographer, and I shut down that business because we were also primary caregivers for somebody with Alzheimer's who was living with us. So working nights and weekends, being a caregiver, having a family, it just became a lot. And as her care progressed, we needed to make some changes. And then life threw one of those curveballs where she had a stroke. And then now she's in a facility. She can no longer live with us. And so it became, let's pivot. Let's see what comes next. And so I've always enjoyed marketing. I've been in the marketing industry for probably 25 years, starting with a Fortune 100 company, actually. And then when you have a small business, it's imperative that you market in order to keep it going. So that's why I specialize in small businesses, but I do a variety of different industries, whether it's freelance or I also create products to help businesses run without people having to do the legwork to get that product.
Do you do any website building or anything?
I wouldn't say I build websites, but I do have a lot of clients who come to me that their websites have not been optimized for a search engine. So I do some of that as especially like I do blogging for some clients. Some of them I set up their e-commerce. So I know enough to get in there. I've done my own websites on WordPress, Wix. I've used and then a variety for clients outside of that.
I'm kind of in the middle of doing that now for myself too. So it's funny. So after while I was running the chamber, it's so imperative. Sales and marketing is so imperative, and 2 different jobs, by the way. As you know, marketing is more of
100%.
Credibility, like an operations task, and sales is more that relationship, that face-to-face stuff. And it's always funny when I went to work for a company a while back, and I said, "Well, what does your son do?" And they said, "He's a sales and marketing guy." I said, that's 2 different jobs, right? I mean, it's 2 different disciplines. And I know you do both because you have a small business, but it's not in a larger company. You have to have those separate. They work together, but they're separate entities, right?
Yeah, they are separate. And as well as within marketing, you can have some companies or businesses where you do all the marketing, and then you'll see some businesses that will break down their marketing departments by type of marketing, because you have, like you said, a website is one thing, and some people, it's a lot of information to know. Then you have your print, you have your digital, you have your obviously your networking events, that sort of thing, email. I mean, there are some that niche all the way down to, I'm hiring somebody just for email. So as a small business owner, we wear all the hats.
Of course.
That's, you have to know it all.
And I think statistically, I think this is true, that most companies, when they start having some problems, maybe they're going through a bad economy or whatever, they start cutting sales and marketing numbers, right? Where it's exactly what they shouldn't be cutting.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially for small business owners, when you're engaging with the customer, that becomes your number one focus. You don't want to let your customer down. So the marketing gets put to the side. And then all of a sudden you can turn around, and whether it's seasonal, some businesses are seasonal, Some, just will run continuously. And then, but you find that time where you go, okay, I don't have any customers. What do I do? And they don't realize that most marketing is a long-term play. It takes 10 to 12 months to see results. So unless you do a sale or a promotion, which is a short-term play, you're stuck. So you kind of have to keep that stuff going. And, I help alleviate some of that without them having to hire somebody full-time, train somebody. As long as I get the information, I can help keep all that going. And some of it's monotonous stuff that just needs to get done.
Yeah.
So that you're getting out there.
Well, sales is a long-term play too. I mean, it's not, you go to a company, it doesn't take 90 days. It can take up to a year just to build those relationships. It takes, 12 times to meet somebody before they even remember your name or what you do and things like that. I went to this marketing thing once, and this guy was talking, and he said, one of the mistakes some companies make is they'll advertise outside of their area. Like, let's say you have a grocery store in Poway. You're not necessarily need to advertise in Alpine and Julian and, South San Diego or whatever, because those are not where your customers are. There's ways to, especially with these new Facebook type things, there's ways to advertise within your demographic, right? And your area. Do you use Facebook a lot for these customers?
I use Facebook. This business is different than my past business. And as a photographer, obviously I needed to be located where my customers were. So it was all of San Diego. But with this business, my customers can be out of town, out of state. I don't go out of country, but there are businesses out there that do have clients worldwide, global customers. So Facebook is great for reaching those people. And the advertising on Facebook, I mean, that is a whole podcast in itself. But it's always good. And obviously my business and a lot of people's business, they're finding that as they're putting stuff out there, I mean, you only about 10% of your followers are going to see your posts. So Facebook has really gotten to where they want to monetize the business aspect of it, and they want you to pay, but now there's so much competition. I think last year over 5 million new small businesses were formed just last year alone.
Wow.
Since the pandemic, we've seen just a huge explosion in new businesses, and that's just in the US. So there's way more competition. Knowing how to run those ads effectively is important. There's a lot of white noise out there that we're just getting bombarded with. So it isn't just what you're doing, it's how you're doing it as well. And you need to get attention. Basically.
So I was online so I've added a bunch of friends in the last 2 weeks. For some reason, I've been getting a lot of these requests. And what I'll do is I'll put a number. Let's say if they have 200 mutual friends, I'll add them, right? So I start adding all these people. Then I'm looking on statistical information yesterday, actually, about what percentage of people are seeing my posts, right? And it's like 13, 14%.
Yeah.
And I want to reach 100% of those people, right? So one of the things I want to start doing is more public speaking. So I want to start advertising for that. And I don't mind doing paid ads because they really do work. But what I was wondering lately is because when I post my positive stuff every morning, I'm getting these people I don't know liking it, but I'm not getting my normal group liking it, right? So it kind of I think adding those friends bumped some of my old friends off. You know what I mean?
It could have, but it also could just be, usually when you have a new connection, they're going to share your stuff and see how people are interacting with it.
Okay.
So if somebody, I mean, they know as much as if somebody stops and scrolls and looks, they'll know, versus somebody who just scrolls right on by. They don't even have to like it, and they'll know that they're interacting with it in a specific way. So it's pretty amazing technology.
Do you do any advertising for your customers on LinkedIn or TikTok or anything like that? Are you using a TikTok is blowing up, right?
I do not use TikTok. I do not personally believe in that app. If a client wanted to use it, I would be fine doing it, but I don't want it on my phone.
Right.
For privacy reasons, there's a lot of notifications I can turn off on Facebook. That's why I also don't keep Messenger on my phone. But there are certain lines that I'll draw. LinkedIn, yes, I do. Basically, for example, if I have a client that I do blog posts for, or different social media posts that they want to advertise, Now on LinkedIn, you can actually go in and schedule your posts. So as I'm scheduling my posts I use Meta to do my Facebook and Instagram because it will take both. And then I just also go right over to LinkedIn and take the ones that are applicable to the LinkedIn audience, basically.
Yeah, some of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing I was thinking about, but has left my mind at this minute. Micro videos. So I'm going to start doing more of those for my podcast on YouTube.
The
So
shorts.
they're trying to get into that TikTok business. And a friend of mine, I think John Riley. He's kind of a news. Yeah, he probably met him or at some event, but he does a lot of those micro videos, and I want to start doing those. And I can just take my videos and chop them up, my podcasts. But well, that's cool. So how's business? I mean, are you getting traction?
Yeah, so it kind of comes and goes. Sometimes I have found in the beginning that I was somebody when I ran my business that was very meticulous about calendaring specific marketing activities, having goals, getting activities that support those goals and that sort of thing. And I have found that most people are not that way. So when they were coming to me, I don't want to say in crisis, but they were coming to me because they saw a decline and they wanted it fixed, and they wanted it fixed immediately. And that's a challenge. That's not something I can guarantee. Any marketing company who guarantees you results is lying.
Well, it's funny. I used to get people, they would call me and say, "Dad, what should I still get it. What should I do for marketing?" I said, first of all, anything that's free, I would do that. But don't get caught into this. This company's going to do this for me for $10,000, because if it doesn't work, they're going to come back and go, "Oh, we could have done it a different way for this but it's $10,000 more, right?"
Right.
You can keep going. You can get into that vicious cycle where they're
100%. That's like when people ask me about SEO. Do you do website SEO? Well, let me explain what SEO is. It's not a one-time thing. It's constantly changing. Just like Instagram, Facebook change their algorithms, so does Google. So what they once maybe liked, now all of a sudden they don't like it, and they're not going to be showing your pages, or they're not, or keywords change, things change. So they know, and Google knows when you're trying to work the system to get your site seen. There's so many sites out there now that, like I said, the competition is so big that it's most of it's patience and time. You just got to give it time and invest in doing the activities. You can't do it once, let it be, and say it didn't work. It's consistency, repetitiveness, keep going, just let it go. So, here I started in August, and, I'll be honest, there were times where I'm like, this just is challenging.
Yeah.
But I have people that are coming to me, and I'm able to help them out and do the projects. And that's my main goal, is that if somebody just doesn't have the time to do something as simple as just send out a monthly email newsletter, do my blog post for me. I also do strategy sessions where I have people who want to do the work themselves. They have the bandwidth to do it, but they want to strategize the best way to do it. So those are easy 1-hour sessions that I do with people to help kind of get that creativity going, where you get people outside of the norm so that people aren't just being part of the white noise problem.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of logos, right? Coming from the promotional world, and if you look at me, I may have a logo on my hat that, I don't even need the word on there for you to know what it means, right? Mm-hmm. And I would tell people when we were doing the marketing, look, Apple, you know what Apple is as soon as you see the logo. And because they never stop marketing, they never stop selling. They're always out there doing that. So my EF thing, that moniker is, I try to put it on everything and everywhere when I'm doing something. So I think that's just a top of mind thing, right? But you also have to make sure that they know what that means. I've come up to people where they wanted something on their shirt, and I said, "Well, what does the logo mean?" They go, "Well, it's just our logo." I said, "I know, but does it resonate? Does the name resonate with what the logo is?" And they said, "So how long has Apple been in business? Forever, right?" Well, we're older, so not forever to us, but
right.
For these kids, it's been around forever.
A long time.
And they all know what it means, right? But when we were kids, we knew what GE was. We knew what, Converse and things like that were. we knew what that logo meant. So it's top of mind stuff. And that's that long play, marketing bit.
Yeah,
If somebody comes to
absolutely.
you that's desperate and they're already behind the eight ball, right?
They're already behind the eight ball. They don't always have the patience. They think that it's a switch you can turn on and off, because if it was that easy, they would have already done it themselves.
Yeah.
They have to invest time and energy. Like I said, it's repetitive things that will eventually make up that sale down the line. So yeah, and I think also how you brand yourself is super important too. How you tell who you are and what you do is super important, because sometimes people will just post sale. Well, that's not going to talk to your customers. Do you know who your
Right.
ideal customer is? All the stuff that people logically know, but won't take the hour time to maybe write out succinctly what needs to happen, and then create those goals, and then create the marketing plan to support them. So it's not hard. It's just people just don't take the time to do it.
Well, they, if I tell you, when I went to chamber, people would come in and I could almost tell you if this person was going to be in business or not, right?
Mhm.
There's so much to running your own business. I used to say, taking a class in Excel could save you $2,500 a year with an accountant, right? You giving them a paper bag full of receipts versus putting in an Excel spreadsheet is huge. These are these little things that you need to know when you go into business. The sales and marketing, people always think, well, salespeople are just, they're just loud, noisy, you know what I mean? But they're not. There's a purpose. It's why we still have salespeople. It's why it's a high paying profession. And it's why you can't get rid of sales. I don't care. You can do all the AI you want in the world. You cannot get rid of salespeople. As far as I'm concerned, not in my lifetime, they won't.
Well, it's interesting. I just actually released a blog post about sales in my photography business. I had to make a shift, because in photography there are such a broad range of incomes or charges that photographers will charge. So you have obviously the very high end ones that are in the fashion industry. They're in LA, New York. And then you have the moms and pops who go out and do it as a hobby, in addition to their full job. But it was creating my full-time income, and I had to take a step back and look at everything and say, this just is not an income for what I'm giving to my customers and what I'm doing and the investment that I'm making. I'm actually maybe making $3 an hour if I'm lucky.
Well,
So
first of all, that's one of those businesses where people think they can do it themselves, right? Oh, I got an Apple phone. It's got the best phone in the market. Well, the camera, like the camera that I'm using now, is a much higher end camera than when I started, and I still need a higher end camera, right? I still want. Did you kept all your equipment, huh? Did you
I
keep
didn't
everything?
keep it all. I
Okay.
did liquidate a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are people out there, like I said, if they're doing it on the side, or people will always ask for cheap, but I decided I didn't want to be cheap. That's
No.
not what I offered. And so I changed a bunch of things. I'm not going to go through the entire post, but there's a nice
Yeah.
long blog post on the things that I changed in order to achieve that. One of the things was I recognized I hate sales. I hate sales. I would send out the digital galleries to people and say, let me know when you figure out what you want. And that always people were picking the small package all the time. Very rarely would they pick a bigger package. So I had to rework that and my mind frame. And then when I reworked it to fit how that I felt comfortable, my sales exploded, because I changed the entire way I did it. And then I loved it. It was like one of my
Well, I'm
favorite
not a big advocate of sales. Say a sale. I love sales, but I'm not a big advocate of a sale, a 10% off
selling.
or something like that.
Oh,
In
a sale.
fact, most companies that I would go to, I would say you need to raise your prices. I try to sell value. There's a huge part of value, and I say it in this way: if value sales wasn't real, Porsche would be out of business, Ferrari would be out of business. All these, Rolex, all these people, they sell high end stuff. One of the things I love about you, and I've told you this before, is you are willing to pivot, and you'll read a book, and you apply what you learn if it's applicable to what you're doing. And I really appreciate that you do that, because so many people will read a book and they go, "Oh my God, it's a great book," and I'm like, "Are you doing anything out of it?" It's like diets, right? how can diet still be around when we know the reality is it's just eating clean and things like that? But they still, you can sell a diet and people will buy it. It just makes
Right,
me crazy. But
right,
I've always gone towards that value selling. I could sell something at a higher end if it's worth it. I can't sell if it's not worth it. But I can't take a '67 Volkswagen and tell you this drives like a new Porsche, right? I
right.
can't lie to you.
Well, and at the end of the day, I knew that I was going to go from booking 90 to 95% of my customers who called me would schedule me because
Mhm.
of what I was offering and they saw
Right.
the value. After I changed it, I knew that that number was going to get flipped on its head and I would probably get 10%. And the reality is that I did offer other products and services that would cater to the people who wanted the lower price point,
Right.
and still gave them a good value. And because I know that because I had people coming out year after year, and those shoots got sold out year after year after year. But the people who wanted the experience, the full blown experience, was getting something totally different, and it was designed for a certain type of customer. So yes, I mean, you have to know what customers you're going after. But also saying that I also knew that that was applicable in the personal families type
Right.
sessions, but in the business sessions that was not going to be, it wasn't going to be applicable. It was to a degree, but not exactly. And so you really have to know your markets and what they will bear.
Yeah.
And that
So that's
helps.
an interesting topic, which takes you right back to your marketing business. Is these customers that really don't, they're not 100% sure who their customer is. And for instance, that would be a Subway sandwiches versus a Donovan steakhouse, right? Two different customers.
Two different customers.
And I
Well, they
think
could be the same customer, just same customer, different day.
same customer once a year versus
Right.
12 times a year,
Repeat
right?
business. Correct.
But so you would market though to in a different way, right? You'd market
Correct.
black tie to Donovan's and tennis shoes and shorts to Subway. But you need to know that, and I'm sure that's what your marketing company is part. That's part of your job is to help them find that demographic and go after that specific customer.
Correct. And I think that's part of the challenge when I see people come to me and say, oh, I know I need to do social media. And I say, why are you doing social media? Well, because I know I need to. Well, why do you need to? What do you want out of it?
Right.
They say, how many times should I be posting on social media? Well, that depends on what your objective is. Are you trying to get more people to engage and get them over to your website? Do you just want them to find out about you and who you are and what you do? Are you looking to get a sale straight off of social media? Are you just trying to establish your brand?
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish? My growth has been very slow on different platforms. Instagram has been the slowest, but again, that has become less of a place. People used to share their images more individually. And then as all these businesses are getting on, you see it tighten. And so you see a lot of business activity on there.
Well, it's a different age group too, right? Facebook versus Instagram.
It is. It is. But also I think people will still see the information. They may just not engage with it. And
Right.
I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. I don't expect that people are going to engage. It's a long-term play. That's
Now,
what it is.
do any of your customers, do you help them with, or are they interested in video? I still think video is king. I mean, if you can do a 30-second video or 15-second video, and maybe the owner of the company is doing it or whatever, do you work with that at all with the video aspects of marketing?
So here's the thing about the video. I have people who have the desire to, but they don't do it. And it's
Okay.
usually the same reason why for photography that people would not come in. They don't feel comfortable in front of the camera. They feel clunky, awkward. I told you, like I usually do better. We're having a good conversation. I know you, I'm comfortable with you, but I usually do get in my head too much. So, but there's ways that people can do video, and I do encourage them to do that and give them ideas of how they can do the video without feeling uncomfortable. Just do an intro and then let the rest can be something different. Just speak an intro sentence and then go into something else. But it is definitely reels you can use your reels both on all three platforms. You can use them on Instagram, you can use them on Facebook, and then you can put them over on YouTube as well. They're not formatted correctly for LinkedIn, but you could always edit them if you wanted to. But it's a lengthy process. It takes a while to get those videos done.
So what I do is I take this video, for instance, and I will put it on Facebook. It'll go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then, but it's all YouTube based. And then I'm on Spotify, Apple, that too, which is all audio.
Right.
So, and I'm getting, it keeps building every month. I'm getting more things. I'm in my 3rd year of this podcast. So
that's amazing.
I know. Isn't that crazy? And the statistically, the first podcast lasts about 7 months and they stopped doing it. So I've kind of got over that. But I need it to grow and I need to get bigger. I need bigger guests and all that. So something I want to back up to email. When I started at the chamber, we used to send 2 emails out a week. And I said, and our open rate was like 19%. And I'm like, you're just over. There's just nothing you can say twice that we have to say twice a week, right? So I said, we'll make it every 2 weeks, and I want you to change the banner every time. So if it's July, put an American flag back there. If it's Valentine's Day, put some hearts. And we went up to 35% open rate because we just changed the look. And I said, look, there's no sense in calling somebody and say, hey, what's up, Ed? Nothing. I just wanted to call you and tell you nothing, or the same thing I was going to tell you next week. So I think some people do over advertise, and it's just like, I don't want to see it anymore, right? I'm not buying it. I'm not. So when you do these email campaigns, is that kind of the thought process? Is what we need to give them a message?
Yeah, I think different people are different businesses. I mean, they're still the business owners, so it's their call. Usually what I say is, let's try it how you want to do it, because everything is trial and error. It's art and science is what marketing is. And then let's see what's happening. Are we getting people that are unsubscribing? Are we getting bounces? What are we seeing? And watch that trend and make adjustments as necessary. Unsubscribes, I don't have a problem with them. I used to kind of feel a little sad or hurt, but then I realized that person doesn't want to be my customer. So I don't want to waste my time. Not that it's really any different, because just somebody's name not being on the list. But if they don't want to get an email from me, they don't want to get an email from me. Maybe they've moved on. Maybe their brother-in-law or sister-in-law is now a photographer, or maybe they moved out of the area.
Right.
But as far as, I currently, because I have a smaller base and I'm still growing my list, I only do mine quarterly, and that works fine for me. I have worked with different businesses. Generally, my open rates are in the 50 percentile.
Good Lord, that's high.
It is high. Your message is also super important, your subject line. So making sure that that's tested as well.
And it's funny, when I send out an email from my personal one, I'll put my name in the subject line if I'm sending it to a business friend, and those get open, right? I get answers because they know I'm not, it's just sort of scammy thing, unless someone's using my name, but my email, my name is in my email too. So yeah, subject line's a big deal for sure.
Yeah. And probably frequency, because if somebody hasn't heard from you in a while, and I mean, let's be honest, it depends on what your business is. If you are selling product and you have new things to come out, I mean, it could be something that you do monthly, it could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be quarterly, semi-annual, annual. I mean, it's really personalized to the business. So I may be out on a limb on that and saying that that's my personal belief, but at the same time, the results will show you what you want to know.
Right.
You just send them out and see what happens.
So it's funny, when we moved here in the last month, still moving, we're still getting organized. We have probably 10,000 photographs, right, that we just have over the years. like snapshots and things like that. So we're going to have a party that kids can come over and take some of those home with them, right? Because we just don't have those, I don't go pick up, photos from Walmart anymore or Save On or whatever. Because I don't even have a camera like that. We just use our cell phones.
Yeah.
Which is kind of terrible, actually. We should, I kind of like that. When I open up and I start looking through them, they're all so damn cute, right? All the kids were little, and there's some great memories in those things. But has the has that hurt? Has the I don't know how to word this, and we kind of already touched on this, is that people think they can do it themselves because they have a good iPhone or whatever. Has it hurt, like with Costco and things, that will print those photos? I mean, you do a whole different business on your photography side of things, and
is that what you're saying? Did that affect my business?
Yeah.
The people being able to take their own photos? Not really, because you can't really take your own real photo. Your own. You could do a selfie, but people know the difference. People know the difference between a professional picture, and most people wanted that.
So are you still doing the photography at all? Are you doing headshots? No. You're not doing it at all. So you're just doing marketing now. Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely something that, photography wise, if you wanted to get it done professionally, back when I was doing it, I edited all my pictures, but I was a subtle editor. There are some people who will take everything out, like the filters that you see. I won't do that because I want it to look like you when you go, use the picture. But at the end of the day, there is a difference between somebody who's putting something up that's subpar quality and then professional quality. And that just goes back to every conversation that anybody has in any business is, do you have a business card that's printed from Moo, or do you have one printed off your home computer? Do you have a website that looks like it's a free website based on your domain name and the way it's laid out, or do you have a professional looking website? So everything talks to what you're presenting to people. And some people just really have different ideas of what works for them and what they want their brand to look and feel like. So
that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. I started using those Popple cards because I just feel like people were just throwing business cards away. And the nice thing about the Popple or any of those brands, it goes right into their phone.
Yeah, I have a whole post on business cards on my blog. Also, I've been using the digital and the QR code because I don't use Apple. So my phone allows me to generate a QR code with my contact card.
Apple does it too.
Yeah. People can scan it and you can put in, like I put my business name as the name, and then under phone number, I'll put my name, and then I'll put all my links. So not only my main website, but I'll put all my social media links, because you can add multiple websites. And you can add what you do and everything in there, because ultimately people will put it in their phone. If it goes right into their phone, they'll have it and they won't have to lose it, and they won't have to input it, and they won't input it wrong.
Well, and the beauty of that is if you call them, your name comes up, right? Instead of just having a number. So Apple does that. I have an app on my phone for the QR code, so it's pretty slick.
Yes.
Man, see, I told you, I just love this about you, that you've researched all this stuff, and I know that you've done it before, but that's part of the attractive part of your business is that you do research things. You're giving them the latest information. You're following up. How can we find your blog? I want to read your blog.
Yeah, my website is coremarketingnow.com.
Okay.
And there's a big link up top called blog. You go there, there's different topics on whether you're starting up a business, whether you've been in business for 2 years. I think there's a 2-year mark where that's where you start looking at taking it to the next level. And then I have what's called the growth mode, which is for people who have been in business 5 years or more. So there's a lot of free resources on there on what you can do each year to give yourself your own little business checkup. There's blog posts that outline certain things. What should your hashtag strategy be in 2023? basically what is a CRM?
So you must have about 32 hours a day to work on this stuff because you're a busy person. How often do you do the blog?
So Fridays, the way I set myself up is I work with clients Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays are my content creation. So I'm making my social media posts, I'm doing my invoicing, I'm doing my taxes, I'm doing all of the great things that business owners do, as well as writing my blog posts. And so I don't have clients on Fridays. That's how I do it.
Sounds good. Well, Cori, this was awesome. I knew we'd have a good time doing this. And it's funny, a thing you said you could get tongue tied. Well, you didn't, because like you said, we know each other. But I had, I'm one of those people, I could walk in and give me a microphone. I don't care how many people, there could be 10,000 people in the room. I'll talk on a microphone. It doesn't matter to me. In fact, I'd prefer it. And I know it's a weird thing. If Kit and I go somewhere, I'm usually doing all the talking, right? And I try to get her involved. And if she knows you, she'll chat with you. But generally, if we're in a room, like if she comes to a networking event with me or something, she'll find someone she knows and just hang out with them the whole day, which is fun.
Yeah.
That's just more her gig. So
you have to I mean, it's intentional. You have to go with intention. If you're going there to support somebody, you're in a different role than if you're going there to meet specific people for a specific purpose to network with. Yeah.
You know, when we had all the girls at home, she was selling Mary Kay because of the price. We could get a better price on the makeup. They taught you how to put it on. It was good makeup, quality wise. So she would go to those meetings, and I enjoyed when she'd go. And she liked that too, because that was her thing. Right? She'd go do her thing, and some of those gals are pretty outgoing, so it was good for her to see, you know, just kind of be in that business atmosphere. But anyway, Cori, this was awesome. I really, really appreciate you doing that and giving me someone else that's going to be on my podcast next week. So coremarketingnow.com is your website. Okay. And I'll put that in the link I'm going to send you the link so you can share it and, you know, get it out there, and it's a good sales pitch to your customers if they want to get in there. Look, I'm going to do a little outro. Do not get off yet. I'll talk to you when we stop recording. So this was the edfranklin.nolimits podcast. You can contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. As you can see, these when you're a guest on here, we just chat. We just talk it up and talk about your business, talk about life. We didn't get into that much, but we only have so much time. So, and that's none of your business anyway. But anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope to see all of you soon.